Hi everyone, and welcome to today's General Hospital Recap out. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps. E-Cat's here. She wants to go chew on the plastic, but you can't chew on plastic because it's not good for you, and she struggles. But let's get right to, it's actually yesterday's recap because work lasted a lot longer, and I was exhausted, and it just wouldn't have been a good video, so I figured I'll wait till I'm awake to do this. So let's get right to it. So at Claudette's place, the results are in. No sister fights. I can't with these two. So the results are in, and according to the test, Nathan is Charlotte's father. So not exactly what Maxie was expecting. And Claudette insists she knew all along that Nathan was the father. So, of course, Griffin is like, whoa. Then why'd you call me here in a tizzy to give me a heads up that I could be the father? Like, you're such... Well, he doesn't call her a liar, but, like, seriously. Yeah. So, Griffin leaves, and Maxie is livid, to say the least. What kind of shadow is happening right now? And Nathan pulls her aside. She kind of, composes herself a little, and she gets her dig in at Claudette before she leaves, saying that if Charlotte has a mother like Claudette, she's going to need a father like Nathan. And I was like, ooh, go Maxie. So Claudette apologizes to Nathan again, but Nathan's like, hey, I want to see Charlotte, like right now, make this happen. So she won't tell him Charlotte's location, which isn't sketchy at all, but he demands to see her, and she just keeps being cagey. So he says that he will report her to the U.S. and Canadian authorities, and then they can find Charlotte. So Claudette, let me just tell you, the names Charlotte and Claudette look way too similar on my screen. So as the storyline goes on, I will be screwing that up, just FYI. So Claudette says after the night, that night, she lost Nathan and Griffin, so then she had Charlotte, and she didn't want to share her, and then she got involved with this guy, and she says that she's scared, and, she doesn't scare easily, and he's like, fine, don't tell me about Charlotte, but tell me about this man. So more on that later. At Maxie's place, Maxie has returned and is just like, as we all would be. And Griffin comes to see her. He wants to see if she's okay, and she's not okay. So he wants to make amends with her, and she's like starting to really cry, and she says that, it is what it is. So my mother is going to freak out when she watches that episode because she hates that saying, like with a vengeance. So now Maxie like really starts crying and hugs Griffin, and Maxie does want to support Nathan. Like that hasn't changed, but it's just like this whole thing is like such a train wreck, and she can't see past it right now. So Maxie can't figure out how two of these like wonderful and brilliant men got involved with Claudette. And he says, Claudette can be a loving person, and Maxie's like, okay, this isn't making it better. So Maxie says that, she's been playing them, and he wonders why Claudette waited until now to tell him about Charlotte, and Maxie's like, oh, you don't know? So we'll return to that in a little bit. On the plane, Laura is back, and Kevin is sitting next to her, and he wanted to see her, so of course he got a plane to Switzerland just so he could get a plane back and arrange to be next to her. So Laura wants to switch seats, but it's booked. What are the chances? And turns out he had convinced someone to switch seats with him so that he could sit next to her on the plane. Not creepy at all. So, she's still as mad and bothered as she was when she first found out about the book. And he has his book, and he wants her to look at the title. And it's like Social Media and the Isolation of Adolescence or something like that. So it's the original book he was set to work on, and he took another shot at it. And that's the one that's going to get published. So she's grateful that he's not sharing her innermost thoughts with the world. And she says that she was actually going to go see him when she got back to Port Charles because she has something for him. It's a letter from Spencer. He wanted to thank him for talking to him about his father and what he did for Laura in Greece, and an apology for how he treated him. So it turns out she thinks about Greece a lot, which why wouldn't you? And the school Spencer is in is secure. That's why she stayed so long, just so she could make sure. And Kevin gives Laura the final draft of the book he wrote about her, and it says it'll never be published, it's for her eyes only, and she doesn't want to read it, but he asked her to at least read the inscription, and it's like really amazing. It's basically like saying she's like a really strong person, and no one could have gone through the stuff she's gone through like with such grace, and this, that, and the other thing. At the penthouse, can't talk, Sam took a nap. I wish I could take a nap. And Jake and Danny are in bed, and Jason woke her up so she could eat before she goes to bed, so she doesn't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning really hungry. It's happened to me before. So Sam is still worried about Alexis, but ultimately she blames Julian, and that there's no end to this now because Julian's free, and Jason asks how they can stop it. So Sam tells Jason that she slapped Julian in the courtroom, and Sam is going to tell Julian to leave town, and she wants him to talk to Seti and get him to think straight. And let me just say, this whole episode, the Sam and Jason scenes, I feel like they were just kind of thrown in there because this episode could have totally gone on without, those scenes could have been in a different show. Obviously they're still important, we wouldn't need to see them, but I feel like they should have been in a different show. They didn't really fit in. They kind of threw the flow off of today's episode. So at Paul's, Anna finds the cufflinks, and I thought they scare her, but I think she realized oh, I'm touching evidence without gloves, and drops them. So she calls Jordan, and she puts gloves on and tells Jordan to come over right now. It's important. So Jordan arrives, and the file she saw, it was about the victims of the hospital murders. So I need new glasses because I literally can't see. And then she shows Jordan the cufflinks, and Jordan's like, yeah, those do look similar. So Anna found also similar shoes, but it's all very circumstantial. But Anna and Jordan know that Paul has killed before, which kind of, doesn't make it totally out there. So Jordan says that, that was an isolated incident for revenge, and Anna sees but Anna's like, yeah, but the after effect, how he covered it up, was very cold-blooded and methodical, which fits in with the older murders at the hospital, but not the newest ones. And Anna's like, yeah, exactly. Paul targeted those people, and the other ones weren't planned. It fits. So they wonder if the victims are also connected to Susan, since Sloane was. And they want to talk to Susan, so Jordan's going to look her up, and Anna remembers Paul saying Susan needed professional help and wonders if Jenkins was perhaps a social worker involved with her. So then they get the dead end at Suki's, but unfortunately they don't get the Celestial Heights lead that Tracy did because it wasn't the owner, it was just a salesperson who didn't know. So Anna got something from her contact at the WSB that Susan was in fact in the halfway house that Jenkins owned, and Jordan's like, okay, I'm gonna go work so we could do this and search other stuff a little bit more legally, and Anna's gonna stay and stall because she has a probable cause, so she can be there, and she doesn't want Paul destroying the evidence if he comes back. And then Anna finds a paper with the Celestial Heights name on it, so hopefully she can get there because things are not good at the cabin in the woods. What? Okay, a really fancy cabin. So Tracy wants to leave, and Paul locked the door. And he knows, she knows, and she says she won't turn him in because of Dylan, and that Dylan can never know that he's connected to this. So she gives him options, she'll never breathe a word of this either way, and then she slips and starts to say no one even knows she's here, which not the best thing to say when someone's gonna murder you. So she asks why he did what he did, and he says he's been getting justice for Susan ever since he returned to Port Charles. So Ellis was the pharmacist that supplied Susan with drugs when she was a drug addict, and Sandra Jenkins ran the halfway house that Paul got Susan into when she got clean. Well, Susan had a relapse, and Jenkins threw her out of the program. So then she got involved with Sloane, and we all know how that happened, what happened there. So then she needed medical attention, and ultimately went to Monica, but well, he kind of leaves Maze out of the original, of that part of the story, so I don't think he's but ultimately went to Monica, and then he says Monica won't be alive for long. So Maze screwed up the rape kit, and the only witness, Julie Prescott, refused to testify. So Monica wrote a letter to Susan that without the proper rape kit, the hospital couldn't help the police. And then Tracy's like, well, that's not Monica's fault. Her hands were tied. She, why? That makes no sense to target Monica. Monica really had nothing to do with it. She just wrote a letter. Like, anyone could have written that letter. It's not like it was Monica exclusive. So he says he's done making mistakes and he has to tie up every loose end. Not what you want to hear when you're locked in a room with a serial killer. So he starts talking about Elizabeth and Sabrina, and Tracy says again that they have to put it behind them. And Paul basically then tells Tracy he's going to kill her, and he has a tie, and he's like, you know. So Tracy says that she's more than happy to be an accessory. Don't traumatize Dylan by killing his mother. And she thinks she gets through to him, but not so much. So Paul says that Susan will come back when he's done. And Tracy's like, okay, I thought you were like out for revenge. I didn't realize you were like crazy. And like, that's not going to happen. And Paul's like, fine, but I'm going to kill Monica. And he knows that Tracy's going to want to save Monica, so this is how it has to be. Again, not what you want to hear. And now, end scene. So Jason has doubts, and Sam encourages him to talk to Sonny. She says, look, Carly's going to have a problem with it if Sonny lashes out. And Jason's like, what? And Sam's like, look, Carly changed. Like, ever since what happened with Morgan, like, she doesn't want Morgan seeing Sonny as, like, this, you know, he has a lot of, he like looks at him more now, so there's a chance that she would leave Sonny if it meant keeping her kids safe. So Sam wants to do this tonight because she feels like time is of the essence, and Sam is going to call Molly to be at the house. Anna calls someone after looking up Celestial Heights and asks for help urgently. Paul is starting to look like he's going to strangle Tracy with a tie, and he says he's sorry, and I'm like, that doesn't count when you're about to kill someone. Laura read the whole book already. She's a very fast reader. Or maybe not. Maybe she just read, like, the beginning. But I don't know. She says that, you know, he was so positive and it wasn't painful at all. But she needs time until she knows how she feels about this whole thing. And it's a shame Maxie had to get such bad news in such a gorgeous dress. Because, like, I love that dress. I want that dress she was wearing today. It's, like, black with, like, gold accents on it. Like, the fabric pattern. So Maxie has heard and said enough for now, and she wants Griffin to talk to Claudette to get the whole sob story about this, like, mystery guy, and then come back so they can exchange notes and see how her lies change based on who she's talking to. And Maxie can't shake the feeling that everything is about to get much, much worse. And let me tell you, Maxie's on point, because Claudette says that the guy, you know, seems charming, but he's cold and calculating, and I was like, what is going to happen? And turns out the guy's name is Valentine Cassadine. What? Like, oh my goodness. I cannot with Claudette. Why is she even here? But that means Dick Roman's coming back, so I'm not totally devastated. I swear, if Valentine Cassadine was played with by like anyone else, I would be like, ugh. But since it's him, I'm like, yeah. Alright, so that is it for today's General Hospital recap. Thanks so much for your patience with this. I'm still trying to figure out a schedule so these can get up a little earlier. Last night it probably shouldn't have been as late, you know, like today. Hopefully this I can avoid this, but I wanted to at least get it up, especially since today was such an awesome episode. But I will see you later today for today's General Hospital recap, and I aim to have it up before 9. I'm not sure what time I'm getting home, but hopefully that looks like it can happen. Yay. But alright, I will see you then, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.